You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys here first thing in the morning, or at least when we're shooting the podcast. It's bright and early. It's actually the day before we have the weekend off, and so that's called Thursday for us, and Thursday is what I also call the day that decides whether or not we're going to be working Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Now, Thursday is when we try to button up all of our residentials, and then Friday is usually an office day. We do some stuff with YouTube, and maybe even some invoicing, some billing, and just making sure that our office is in order. And that's something that I wanted to talk a little bit about today. This episode hopefully should be short and sweet. I do have a hard stop here in about 20-25 minutes because we got to get out there and go mow. We're actually starting a little bit later each day. It's like we went from 7:30, 8 o'clock starts to 8:30 starts, then 9s and 10 a.m. starts, just because the grass is slowing down. It's the end of October, mid-end of October here, 2020, and so the season's kind of tapering up for us. We're going to be wrapped up here about Halloween. Take about a couple days off. We get ready for Entrepreneur Academy Live, and then basically the first full week of November forward, we're out there doing leaf cleanup. So I guess like November 10th-ish, 9th-ish, we'll be out there rocking and rolling. Hopefully we have a fall. Hopefully the weather holds out. It's been 60s and 50s, and we can get out there, and we need one for leaves, right, Paul? We need one for leaves, like rake those leaves and make that cheese. I don't know. Maybe I even heard that from somebody else's podcast. Maybe it was from Paul's podcast, but any which way. So what I wanted to talk about to you guys today, for just short and sweet, is a common theme that I've seen on a couple coaching calls that we've done lately. You guys know that on entrepreneuracademy.com we have coaching calls. They're $99 for an hour. They're a steal. Literally, I know sometimes you guys are like $100 to talk to somebody. That seems kind of weird. Look, I just got done doing one with a YouTube channel consultant. It was $600 per hour. So, and I do those pretty regularly. So don't give me any of this. Well, that's a lot of money. Well, anytime you spend money on a professional service, it should save you or make you multiples over. And that's the idea with investing into a coach or a mentor. So there's many times I talk to my CPA, it's $250 an hour. I talk to this guy, it's $300 an hour. This guy, it's $600 an hour. Look, when it's $600 an hour, you better believe that even your boy here has a notepad out, is recording the conversation, and is taking notes furiously, and it's all hands on deck, right? But any which way, the coaching calls, by the way, they're going to go up in price here starting probably about late October, maybe even November 1st. We're going to bump that rate up a little bit, but I still think it's going to be a tremendous value if you guys want to catch up with us, talk about your business, talk about your office, talk about social media, marketing, getting customers, what to do with your business. That hour conversation, we're able to get intimate, break down the details of your business, your life, add some context to it, and then help you guys get a plan as we move forward, whether it's this fall, into winter, into spring 21 and beyond, which is really, really exciting. So what I wanted to talk about on this podcast episode was some common themes about customer relationship management software, or CRMs, how to get your office in a row. And I wanted to add some thoughts that helped me really get my office in a row the last 2 or 3 years. That was honestly one of the missing ingredients for my business to allow me to grow and double and triple our business's size in the last 36 to 48 months. So let's do this. We're going to kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer, hear a little bit more from the show sponsors, the show announcements. I think this is going to be a really fun, upbeat episode. We're going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to come at you guys quick. So let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer, and we'll come right on back.
Time now for a Fullerton Unfiltered Rewind.
Number one mistake that I see new lawn care business owners make is their service plan options are way too crazy. All right. If you guys are a new business owner, keep your pricing and your plans simple. Like, there's people that are sending me stuff and they're like, well, I've got a bronze plan, a silver plan, a gold plan, a platinum plan, the diamond plan. And I'm like, what is this, like network marketing? I'm just having some fun, and that's fine. But it's like they have all these options, like, $49 $89 gets you this, $79 gets you this, $99. Listen, if you're a new lawn care business owner and you're making your company available, whether it's on your postcard marketing, on the phone, or in person, you got to simplify things so customers just go, look, I want my lawn service. I want tall grass short. I want it to look nice for the 26, 28 weeks of the season. What kind of service plan am I on? For me, we only offer one plan. For you guys, you might have a good, better, best, or the basics, and then like Lawn of the Month Club, I'll call it, but keep it simple.
You can catch up on previous episodes you may have missed or need to hear again at LawntrepreneurAcademy.com.
Are you ready for GIE Plus Expo?
What?
Yes, GIE Plus Expo is coming to you now. It's GIEExpo2go.com, your new online connection to hundreds of new products, industry resources, and solutions to help you grow your business. GIE Expo to Go is packed with your favorite exhibitors' latest innovations, demo videos, event links, and more. Plus, you can set up your own My2Go show planner to gain exclusive access to show specials and discounts. Test Jet is all free. So what are you waiting for? Go to GIEExpo2go.com and start exploring today.
At Fullerton Unfiltered, we are proud to partner with Equipment Defender. You can organize, secure, and protect your equipment. All Equipment Defender racks fit open and enclosed trailers, plus they offer racks for trimmers, edgers, backpack blowers, and more. And Brian's 10 saves you 10%. Now, back to the show.
All right. Well, good deal, guys. Well, let's just jump right into it just for time's sake. Like I said, I got a hard stop in about 20 minutes. So back in the day, that's how all my stories always seem to start, is back in the day, back in my day, when we were running our lawn and landscape business. Now, remember, I've been doing this for 15 years. And yes, there was software back in the day. Yes, there was, free software, paid software. Even some of the ones that you guys use today were even maybe out 10, 15 years ago. But how I started my lawn and landscape business is kind of how a lot of folks kind of stumble into it, is you start picking up a couple lawns. The next thing you know, you have 4, 5, 6 lawns. You need to kind of keep track of things, keep it organized. And what do? You get out a legal pad and paper. And with that legal pad and paper, you have all your customers, maybe even their pricing, maybe their address. And what you do is you build this little route out. And that's what I did. For so long, I had like a legal pad, and that legal pad looked like it was cut out with pink and shears by the time I was done. It would be in the truck all the time. It would just be, crinkled up, crumpled up, yellow legal pad paper, right? Stuffed between the seats. It would have cookie crumbs, just wrapper, gook and chocolate or cheese or just, pop or something just spilled over. That was my business on paper. And that's what I had toting around with me in the truck as my way to keep track of my customer data. And I want to say, that this was only a year or two, but the reality was, I had my business on a legal pad like this for probably 5, 7 years. Every year we would add people to the list. We would take people off the list. We would always write in blue pen on the yellow legal pad. I've just been a big pen person my whole life. But then what happens when somebody cancels, right? What happens when we add somebody to our route, to our business? It was just, you guys can imagine, I had like 20 different names listed down, but then 3 people would cancel. We would add 3 more. And to keep that route organized, I would try to rewrite out that list. But as you guys can imagine, after about a month in the spring, when we all add 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 new customers, that list turns into a debacle, right? It's like, I would be like, oh, well, we just had Mary Johnson, but she needs to be like number 4 because she's over in this part of town or this part of the subdivision. Then we'd add like, Mike Johnson, and Mike Johnson was number 17, but I can't like bump the other 3 people because I wrote in pen. And so like this list was like really, really weird. And it was always with me. And that wasn't bad. Like at least I had something. But honestly, what I had wasn't very efficient. It wasn't working out that well. Moving on from there, what I did is I got really smart because I'm a lawntrepreneur. I'm an educated lawn care business owner. I'm all about business and success. I'm Donald Trump Jr. over here. So what do? Well, I jump on numbers or Excel. I had Excel on a little netbook. Do you guys remember netbooks back in the day? I think those lasted for about like 3 years. The little, like 9-inch netbook. They're like $299. Man, I bought one of those at Best Buy. I walked in there. I was like, boom, I'm investing in my business. I'm buying software, and we're going to take this thing to the next level. Like, it sounds like this cheesy, like tagline, take your business to the next level. Well, that's what I was going to do. I had all my stuff in there, and the idea was to tote the notebook or the netbook, as we call it, in the truck, take it with me all the time. I had my rolling office. Well, back then, by the way, we still weren't processing any credit cards. I was doing everything by checks and cash. And the stories that we could tell from here are literally endless. I mean, everything that you guys have heard or have said or have experienced, I've dealt with, I've done, and everything that Paul has said on his podcast, the Paul Jameson with the Green Industry podcast, great buddy of ours, and he's got a Green Industry podcast. Paul talks about how to collect checks, how to collect payments, and his old one is his goodie is the checks in the mail. I wish my customers used to say the checks in the mail. My customers always said checks on the screen door, taped in a Ziploc bag to the bottom of the inside window. Checks under the doormat, checks in the back grill. You open up the back grill, you go on their deck. You don't look unprofessional or a creeper there, right? It looks like you're the lawn care guy snooping on the customer's property, opening up the grill. You get this check. It's like covered in yellow, orange grease because they just made burgers the night before. Thanks for the invite, right? And man, I half the time, more than half the time, 90% of the time, it was never there. The check was never in the grill. The check was never under the doormat. The check was not in the mailbox. I heard Naylor talking about this on one of Paul's episode. Like nothing like violating federal law, snooping in somebody's mailbox. You're skipping through their mail, and it's like, utility bill, Victoria's Secret catalog for the wife Jamie. You're like, anyway, keep going, and then it's like you find this crumpled up envelope. And half the time it wasn't even in there because, the post office person probably thinks it's like return mail or, sending out mail. So they grab it to go mail it out. Then it comes back to the customer 4 days later, postage stamp not on there. So there's no proper postage. So they get the check sent back in the mail. When I went to go there at 4:00 to mow the lawn and the mailbox empty, or it's got the Victoria's Secret catalog in the mailbox. And again, nothing looks like unprofessional, creepy with you trying to filter through somebody's mailbox. And here's the funny thing. It wasn't one customer. It wasn't 10 customers. At this point, we had 40, 50, 60 customers. And you guys can imagine if my business looked like that on pen and paper, what do you think my cash flow looked like? Right? If my business was completely disorganized on the production side, what do you think my office side looked like? In fact, when I got together with my friend Mike Bedell about 3.5 years ago, he's like, "Hey, how you doing all your billing and your bookkeeping and all this stuff?" And I've had these transparent conversations with him, and I'm pretty public about them with you guys. I'm like, I said, well, I use Excel. And we use Square because what I did is I graduated from the pen and paper to Excel, right? Because I had that little netbook and I had all my customers in a row. I did try to get organized. I had their name, I had the rate, I had how many times we mowed, and then I took all those numbers and I did a little, sum formula, and we out-calculated how much money we were making gross per month. There was no cost. There was no expenses. There was no line items. There was no QuickBooks. There was none of that stuff. No way in hell. Now, when I started my business, my goal was to make sure that I had more coming in gross than when I left TruGreen. Back then, I was making $1,800 a month. And I've talked about this before, like it was supermarket sweep. I was like, I got customers. I got another customer. And it went from $500 a year to $1,500 a year to $2,500 a year because we were adding one new customer. And back then, to me, one new customer was about $500 a year. My prices were low. They were $20. You guys have heard the story. But that's where I started. And my attitude was, if I can at least get 18 grand coming in to match the 18 grand that I used to make at TruGreen, I was going to go all in with lawn care. Well, when TruGreen decided to let me go, I didn't really have a choice anyway, so I went all in with lawn care. But I remember hitting 18 grand gross and 18 grand with my job, and I was like, oh, there, I replaced my income. I mean, the reality of what we know now is that I was probably taking home less than half of that, right? If we were honest. And that's probably pretty conservative to even say that. So here's the bottom line. As I continue to grow my business, I realized I had to get a little bit more organized. I started putting things into Excel. I think it was back in the day. I think that's PC. And we did start graduating some of our billing to doing invoicing online because I had registered with Square. Square is like a credit card reader, a credit card app. It's actually a lot more popular with point of sales now than it was just 4 or 5 years ago. What I did is I went online and I've realized a huge gap. And this is a little takeaway, a little lesson here when you get customers now with our business. Because nowadays we have Yardbook, and I know there's other options out there, but Yardbook is what I use. I think it's great for the guys between 0 and 250,000 in revenue, maybe even up to about 400,000. That's what I'm personally noticing. It's arguably free. There's a premium version. I think it's $39 a month. We did upgrade our account. Well, that's because you get it for free. No, I buy the stuff. A lot of the stuff that you guys see, I buy and I invest in because I'm not going to be the guy that tells you to do something if I'm not doing it myself. Okay, it's called keeping credibility. There's no back end deal there. I mean, they do sponsor the YouTube channel, so that's nice. But it's not like I'm getting paid overly to be like Yardbook, Yardbook, Yardbook. In fact, I rarely promote Yardbook like on my stuff. You guys can see compared to a lot of people that promote other CRMs, which is awesome. You guys have seen pretty low key that I only promote Yardbook about 4 or 5 times a year. That's just because I'm like, look, you're going to start it in the spring. You're going to adopt it in the summer. You're going to adopt it in the fall, adopt it in the winter. There's only 4 or 5 times I really talk about it. I guess this might be one of those times. So let's not get lost in the weeds. If you want to use Jobber, LMN, Service Autopilot, awesome. Like for real. I'm a big team player in helping you guys win. I'm not like overly sold out to any CRM, okay? I want to help you guys grow more successful businesses. And to do that, we got to get organized on the offices, the back-end paperwork. So when I started adopting a CRM, well, let's see, before that, when I started to go online to Square, I wanted to do that to start offering the option of having people pay via credit card, right? So back then we had, I don't know, guys, maybe 50, 60 customers. We were doing 5, 6, 7, 8 grand a month in revenue. Nothing crazy. This is probably maybe about 8 years ago now, and we were rocking and rolling with all this. And so for me to accept credit cards was huge. I mean, huge, because we'd have people all the time. Hey, can you just like charge my card on file, or can you just charge me at the beginning of the month to prepay my invoice? Can you just send me the invoice and I'll pay it, 3 weeks, 2 days, 5 days, 7 days later? We had no standards. We had no order of operations, right? I was so reactive is probably the best word I can use to describe my business. I was just literally thankful to be cutting grass. I was thankful to be out there mowing. If it didn't rain that week, I was extremely thankful that we were able to mow. I didn't know that I should also be building my office. I didn't know that I should be managing the back end of the business as much as the front end of the business. I think we all kind of get lost at being front of the house, I'll call it, where we're just working and mowing, landscaping and working. And I've said this many, many times that for about every 8 hours of work that I do in the field, there's an extra half hour to hour that has to go in on the back end to manage your logs, manage your books, invoice, follow up on past due invoices, scheduling, all this different stuff, bookkeeping, taxes, logging your expenses, right? For every 8 hours I'm in the field, there's probably a good hour in the back end office. And that's what I had to do for my business was, look, I can mow 5 days a week. I can mow 6 days a week. But dude, we were all over the place. And what I've just realized is that by working 4 days a week and then having Friday as a YouTube/office day, for me personally, now we still do some like weed pulling, or if I got to go just do some odd jobs or prep something for something that we're doing the following week. Friday is my relax, do what the business needs. Maybe I got to go sharpen 20 lawnmower blades. Maybe I've got to go fix something on the trailer door, fix a hinge, grease my equipment, do an oil change. Friday, I try to do that. Now, I'll be honest, the other 50% of Fridays, that's what it is. The other 50% is, hey, we're working Friday to catch up on Thursday, right? We get rain on Monday. It's going to throw the whole week off, but at least I'm not stuck working Saturdays and Sundays. That for me, I work Saturdays and Sundays for probably 13 years. It definitely Saturdays. And most of the times I was working Sundays. Now, I was working Saturdays and Sundays to get over the hump. And when we got over the hump about 1.5 years ago, I started to taper off. We didn't have to work Sundays anymore. We didn't have to work Saturdays anymore. We didn't have to work Fridays anymore, right? So we got our pricing right. We got out of debt. The more we got our money right, the more we were able to work our business on our terms, our schedule, which you want to talk about freedom and you want to talk about why we all do this. It's to get to those points and to those levels. And I'm only, 6, 8 months, 9 months into that. Some of you guys are starting to experience that breakthrough as well, where you can, call the shots and you have that margin and it feels really good. It feels really healthy, but don't get it confused. I worked for 12 years working every waking minute to try to get this company going. And you guys have heard my story. It's pretty well documented. I was missing a couple ingredients in the business. And one of them, again, to go full circle, was my office. So what happened was we registered with Square and we started having the option of taking credit cards. And that was a game changer for us. And that really kind of started to open up my eyes to, wow, like we can get this billing a little bit more under control. Because here's why. We would do our billing. Let's say we had 50 customers. We would send out 50 invoices, man. And back in the day, for real, I was using carbon paper. I actually had like 1,000+ invoices made with the carbon back. So what I would do is, God, this was such an actuarial nightmare. I would fill out the invoice. I would put the white envelope or the white, the top, the invoice in the mail that out. So 50 invoices, 50 envelopes, 50 stamps. It would cost me $20 every month to send out all my invoices. Paper stuffing, return envelopes. Dude, this stuff was expensive. Time and money. About a week later, we'd get 12 of them back. 2 weeks later, we get another 8. 3 weeks later, we would get, another 5. And then 4 weeks later, we get 4. And I'm like, that's only 30. Where's the other 20? And that sucked, right? So that was my cash flow problem. So we started to have a little bit more cash flow because we would get about 40, 50, 60%. But I was like, where's the other 20? Where's the other 30? Where's the other 40%? Like, that's my money. Not only were we already 30 days out, but then it's late fees. Then it's like past due. Then it's all those, hey, the awkward text message. Hey, you guys are past due on your bill. It's the second week of July. I haven't seen June's payment. By the way, I'm 2 weeks into July, so now you're kind of like 6 weeks worth of service that I haven't seen a dime for. Are you guys sending that check? Oh, yeah. The wife should have sent that out. And then you text the wife, oh, yeah, I thought Bill sent that out. Okay. And then you realize nobody has any clue what's going on in that household because that's pretty typical, middle America. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's running crazy, kids, school, obligations. I get it. So then what? So then you have this like awkward dilemma. At least let me ask you guys, have you ever had that awkward dilemma? Like, do I just keep mowing and pray that they pay me? Or do I stop mowing and put my foot down? But then they're going to resume service once that check does come in the mail, but then the grass is 5 inches tall. So what do you do? Well, I'll be honest, for me, what I did is I kept mowing. I'm like, no problem, dude. Like, we're super flexible, bro. Like, hey, man, we're here for you. When you want to catch up with us, we're good. And then it would turn into 8 weeks. And then it would turn into 10 weeks. And there was times when I was on people's doorsteps, knocking on the door. Hey, excuse me. You owe me for, 11, 12, 13 cuts. There was a 4-week month, a 5-week month, and then a 4-week month. And those 5-week months, man, that was like big money. That's like when you work a job, you get like 3 paychecks in a month, like, the 1st, the 15th, and then like the 31st. You're like, ooh, we're rich. I don't know. That's just being transparent. That's how my life was, because my life was miserable. We just didn't make any money. But then you're like, hey, dude, you owe me for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and 4 weeks. What is that? 8? That's 13 weeks. 13 weeks at like 20, 25, $30. I'm like, dude, you owe me $320, $340. That might as well be $5,000 to me today, or $5,000 to some of you guys today. Like, I needed to get paid, son. Like, where are you at? And I remember many a times I would knock on the door Christmas week and be like, hey, dude, you owe me from August, September, and October. Because I had a lot of people that would like cut me a check for $300, pay the first half of the season, then would write me another lump check for $300 for the rest of the season. You're like, Brian, $300 for like half the season. Like, I get that per month. Yeah. I get it. My prices were like 18 and 20, $22. We've adjusted a lot of that as we go. So funny story, we would get like, there'd be times, seriously, I was on Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve. I was at somebody's house getting a check for $340. This guy's name is Tim. And I'm like, bro, where you at? He's like, oh, dude, like, I missed you the first month and my job sent me to Mexico for a month doing automotive, machine robot stuff. And then the next month, oh, we just got busy with October, man. Halloween's and kids. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, I will kill you. Like right now, Like, I will throw you through a wood chipper, bro. Like, I'm a landscaper. I know how to get rid of a body. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if any of you guys have ever said that before. And if I ever run for Senate, they're going to use that soundbite against me one day, right? But I was like, dude, I got to get paid, bro. Like, I got fuel. I got employees. I got all this stuff going on. Anyway, so let's just fast forward. What happened was, with Square, I had to start punching people's info into Square. So I had everybody's name, and I had a lot of people's address. But the funny thing is, like, I had some people's emails, I had some people's phone numbers. Frankly, I didn't have everybody's address. Now that I think about it, I had, like, out of the 4 things you need, name, number, address, email, I had about 2 out of 4 for everybody, like, straight up. It was a nightmare adding that all in. So what did I do? I went onto Microsoft Word. I made like 2 paragraph, like half sheet things, like customer info. What we did is we sent those out with our lawn agreements that spring, and we said, hey, look, we're updating our records. This is huge, by the way, big tip here. We're updating our records. We need to get your most up-to-date name, address, email, and phone number. Because I had like, some people would just like knock on door, get a check. I didn't have their phone number. They didn't even have my phone number. Like, what kind of partnership is that? We just had Jeff Jordan on the podcast. What kind of partnership did I have if I didn't even have their phone number or their full name? It was like Mary. I was cutting lawn for Mary on Johnson Streets, or, Canal Street or First Street. It's like, okay, I don't even know Mary's last name. Wow. And if Mary wanted to shop for a new person, how bad would Mary feel if she canceled Brian? Like, just Brian. I think Brian's Lawn Care or Brian, people would make out checks to me. It would say like Brian's Lawn Care, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, just Brian. Other people just cash with a dash, just cash, made payable to cash. Hey, thank you. We appreciate that. But realized long-term that wasn't going to work out. It just sometimes with Brian B or YAN. I'm like, wow, no wonder like people didn't value me and I didn't really have any good customer partnerships, right? And hopefully you guys can relate to some of this stuff because it was so awkward and it was such a struggle for so long. I just didn't know this was not the way to do it. So it took us about a year to get everybody's full name, full address, full email. Took us about 3 months in the spring, and by the end of the year, we basically had a little bit of everything. Then, and I'm going to button it up right here. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this. Let me know. Shoot me some DMs if you guys enjoyed this episode. Maybe we can talk about what we do today with QuickBooks, bookkeepers, payroll, how things really work now, because it's so, I don't say effortless, but it's 10 times easier. It's so much more streamlined with what we got today, the finished product. But this is all the struggle that I went through. What happened was I was growing my business. After about a year or so, I met Bedell. Things started to grow. We got some of our pricing right. We had a lot of things to work on. My business was like on the heartbeat monitor, it was like flatlined. It was like, dude, we need to get this thing back in gear. Well, I stumbled on a friend of mine, Jonathan. Well, he became a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, Jonathan with Florida Turf Pros. A lot of you guys know Jonathan. I feel like I don't sound like weird here, but like outside of like myself, I feel like the next best channel that I can refer people to directly that help people grow a successful lawn landscape business, I mean like X's and O's, not like mowing vlogs, is Jonathan with Florida Turf Pros. He's a great dude. He puts it out there. He doesn't really have a lot of fanfare or like fluff or entertainment value, although he's an entertaining dude. You guys know what I'm saying. But he's very like, hey, here's how I do my billing. Here's how I do my pricing. Here's how I do my postcards. Here's when I market. Here's how to get on Google, Facebook, Google business listing. So little plug there for Jonathan, Florida Turf Pros. Next video he does, if you guys listen to this and you watch this video, say, hey, Brian sent me here from the podcast. Like, give him some love. Tell him that we sent you. But I called Jonathan. I said, hey, dude, I don't know if you know me. I run a YouTube channel and I run a lawn care business. He's like, Brian, what are you talking about? You're Brian's Lawn Maintenance. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Because I don't know, we had like 40,000 subs. And he's like, dude, I'd love to catch up with you. So we had a good powwow. I asked him a little bit about insurance because he used to do insurance. And then I said, hey, I got a question about how you run your business and your CRM. Because I learn from everybody, guys. I don't have it all figured out. So I said, what are you using for your CRM? And he said, Yardbook. And I said, why? And because I said, the way you're running your business is a lot how I want to run mine. I want to mow. I want to charge cards on file. I want to be streamlined. I want to I do the work, I get paid. I do the work, I get paid. Versus do the work, not get paid. Do the work, not get paid. Do the work, not get paid. Do the work, maybe get paid. So I was like, I'm done with all these variables. Liz and I were married for a year or two. Our business was trying to grow. We were trying to move. We were trying to get a nicer apartment. We were trying to add employees. We were trying to buy more equipment. I needed to fix my cash flow. And my cash flow wasn't necessarily fixed from my pricing. My cash flow was more fixed from getting my office in a row. As weird as that sounds, you got to listen to what I just said. My cash flow was fixed not because I did more work, but because I got more organized on the back end of my business and I was able to start paying attention to things. In fact, a little nugget that I heard from Mike Bedell on Paul Jameson's podcast was Bedell takes Mondays off to get, or at least a half day, to get his crap together, to get his ducks in a row, to get his jobs lined up, his paperwork lined up, his office lined up. He looks at his goals. He looks at his budget. What do we got to make? What are we trying to do? Are what we're doing right now keeping us on track with the goals that we set? I thought it was a really, really good nugget. I do that end of week on Fridays. Fridays and Saturdays, I try to glance at that stuff because that's your GPS. That's your gyrosphere of keeping your business going. So if you're like, well, I just got to work more. I just got to mow more. Well, like, dude, did you even collect on that job from like 6 weeks ago back in July? Because you still got an invoice out for $1,400, but you're trying to like get 3 new customers. Why don't you just go get your $1,400? And if your CRM sucks and you don't use a CRM and your office backend sucks, then how likely are you to go get paid from that job? You don't even know that you're missing that money. And so that was me. I had all these yellow invoices, the carbon invoices. I would send the white one out. It would come back. When the check came in, I would rip up or mark paid on the yellow invoice. We had 50 invoices from June, 50 invoices from July. I had a stack of like 1,200, whatever it was, 600 stupid yellow carbon invoices. It was a debacle. This was back in the day before I even met Liz. I had my mom helping me. I'm like, because she used to do a lot of office work. I'm like, Mom, I have no idea who's paid, who's not paid. She's like, I'll help you out. You know, and I'm thanks, Mom. You know, not like being like 28 and having Mom help you out, right? And that was just my story, right? So anyway, what happened is we got all that customer data and we moved to Yardbook. And I've said many a times, if Yardbook didn't sponsor the channel, I'd still use Yardbook. Okay, like I'm not changing or switching. For where I'm at right now with my business, that's what works best for me. Anyway, what was really, really unique is that after talking to Jonathan with Florida Turf Bros, I was able to import all that data from Square to Yardbook. Well, why not Square? Well, Square is a credit card processing system. It's a billing software. It's a merchant. It's like your Visa, your MasterCard, whatever. Square, that's what they do. And you can put your customer data in there, but it's not for lawn care. It's not for landscaping. You can't mark how big is your customer's yard, any notes for that customer, what kind of services you do. It's just charging cards on file. It's just running invoices. And that's okay. That's okay. Like you go to a farmer's market, everybody's got Square. You don't need a super track, bought 4 jars of jam, like bought 3 flowers, bought 2 wreaths. Who cares? Like that's okay. But that's what Square is for. That's not for your lawn and landscape business. That's not what a Yardbook does. That's not what a Jobber does. That's not what an LMN does, right? So lawn care software or CRMs allow you to get all that customer data and your business's data. And then the real caveat, track your income, track your expenses to help you create these reports. So that's where we'll just leave it right here because that's a whole nother can of worms with QuickBooks, my payroll company, my CPA, how all of that kind of intertwines together. So maybe we will do a part 2. But once I was able to take all that customer data and bring it over to Yardbook, then we streamlined our billing with invoicing. Then right off the bat, I started implementing charge cards on file, which was a great way for me to manage all my cash flow, which basically we mow your lawn. The last day of the month, we cash out, we charge your credit card on file. There's a link that you can send each customer in their profile. They populate a credit card. You don't see any of that info. Super secure, super sleek. I have absolutely 100% buy-in with this. I've heard people say, you're going to lose half your business in the comments on YouTube. And I asked, hey, do you guys do charge card on file? That'll never work here. Oh man, I know a guy that tried that. He lost 10 customers. I'm like, all right, cool. So a lot of input from hearsay. And I asked Jonathan, I'm like, John, how's it working for you? He's like, dude, everybody loves it. It's great for the customer because they don't have to worry about the bill. It's great for me because I get paid. I think he does he cashes out weekly because he wanted like good weekly cash flow. Awesome. I mean, that makes sense. So that's what I did. I totally did a hard turn with my business. I told every customer, every people skill in the world, I mean, I'm selling. I'm like, hey, we're taking over. We're doing a new software to manage our business. I think you're really going to love this. We're going to do a card on file. We cut your lawn all month. We charge at the end. This is for our residential customers, right? Invoices are still what we use for commercial pretty much net 30. You get the convenience of having a card on file, and we cash out. You never lose track of the invoice, yada, yada, yada. For me, it was like, dude, I do 12 grand worth of mowing. Then, I mow all month. I invoice at the end of the month. 3 days later, a week later, whatever it is, I got 11.7 in the bank minus processing fees or whatever, right? Nowadays, 17, 18, 20 grand a month is what we do in mowing. Very, very happy about that. Who's most happy about that? The wife. A lot of you guys, if your marriage stinks and you got some tumultuousness and some turmoil, sometimes, I'm not saying every time, sometimes it's related to the checking account balance. I'm just going to throw that out there. If the wife sees 10, 20, 50 grand in the savings account, they're not, I've personally noticed they're a little less stressed out. They're a little less worrisome. When you go buy something stupid for $200 and you got 38 grand in the account, they don't yell at you as much. When you buy something for $200, you got $310 in the account. That's where those conversations come up, right? So look at that. You get some marriage advice on the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, as well as business advice, right? It's Lawns, Lessons, Life, and then marriage. Just kidding. If there was a fourth block, it would be marriage. Just having fun because, what do I know? I've only got 6 years into this thing. But we have a great marriage. I love my wife, and things have been actually really, really well. So that's where we went. So end of month, we cash out all of our customers with that, with the yard book credit card on file. You can actually go to launchpreneuracademy.com. On the very front page, scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see a blue tab. It says credit card on file language. So when you send that link, you're like, what should that link say? We have 2 paragraphs to let customers totally feel at ease about, adding them to the system. I had white people, black people, Asian people, skinny people, fat people, rich people, poor people, people in trailer parks, people in $200,000 home values, $400,000 home values, $800,000 home values. $1.1 million home value. Everybody in between. We had 100 plus customers, right? Here's what I noticed. Everybody had a credit card. Everybody had an email. So don't give me this, well, my customers, they just won't, I get it. But what I realized that 99 out of 100 of my customers literally adopted it. I had one customer say, well, I don't want to do it. I said, cool. If you don't want to do a credit card on file, you can do the seasonal prepay and we'll give you 5% off. I don't want to, I don't want to write you a check for $900. I don't trust you, is what they basically said. I'm like, well, I don't trust you that you're going to pay me then. So I don't want you as a customer, even though I was already doing her lawn for 4 years. But she was a butt. And then I always talk about my boy Pete. Pete's 92. Peter, he's 92. And I just didn't have the heart to cancel a 92-year-old World War II vet who writes me a check. The 4th month, or the 4th week of the month when we're out there cutting his lawn, Peter's out there envelope in hand, doing backflips. He's 92. He's sharp as a tack. But he pays me with a cash check or with a check. And I'm not going to cancel a 92-year-old. I just, I'm still a softie at heart, right? So anyway, we got our CRM together. It changed my business, and that cash flow changed my life. We were able to, instead of having 7 grand billable or 10 grand billable and only have 4, 5, 6 come in, now we went from 10s and 12s to having 11 out of that 12 come in. Yeah, there's a couple times a credit card will bounce. It takes a couple days to get that squared off. But look, we were having 95% of our cash come in, our accounts receivable versus 40, 50%. So maybe instead of just going out there, rushing out the door, trust me, I'm guilty of that probably more than you guys are. I got to work. Well, get organized. And so the reason we're having this conversation now is that as we go into fall, as we go into winter, and as we go into 2021, take the time now to set this stuff up. Did a great coaching call with a gentleman named Arturo. Great dude. He's working for somebody, but he wants to start his own thing. And this is what we talked about for a half hour. I'm like, look, dude, set the foundation now. Get all that customer data. Get your credit cards on file. Don't give customers options, okay? If you're taking PayPal and Venmo and cash and check, it's convenient for the customer, and that is completely inconvenient for you. And I'm not saying it's got to be convenient for me, but it's my business. How do I want to get paid? What are my payment terms? Now, if you're like, hey, commercial accounts, I want a check in 48 hours after invoice. It's not going to work that way. You go invoice a Walmart, a Home Depot, a Discount Tire, or a strip mall. It's not going to necessarily work that way. You might get lucky. By the way, if you need contracts, launchpreneuracademy.com. We've got some great options out there for you guys to kind of help enforce that stuff. But this is what helped me get my business growing to the next level. And part of my business doubled in 18 months. My business doubled again in 18 months. I would say a huge attributing factor to that was getting our office correct. Because honestly, how do you know if your business is growing if you can't even track your sales? How do you know your business is growing profitably if you can't even track your expenses? And if you're using a legal pad and you're using a legal pad or you're using Excel, you can't keep track of that. You don't have I wouldn't say you have an illegitimate business. You just have a business that's not being run as efficiently as possible. And again, we want to see you guys grow. We want to see you guys succeed. We want to grow the top number and the bottom number, right? We want to grow the top sales and be as profitable as possible. And I think utilizing a good CRM is a good way to do it. For us, we use Yardbook. Full disclosure, they're a partner on the YouTube channel, but I've sang this song many a times. I would still use them even if they weren't powering our YouTube channel. So anyway, check them out. If they do a survey, they say, how do you guys hear about us? Just tell them that you heard them from Brian's Law Maintenance or whatever, but that's it. So over and out, guys. Thank you so much for listening in on this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. We'll do a part 2. Hang tight with me. Next couple of weeks, we'll do a part 2. How things look like today. Maybe we can, get some other ad libs in. Maybe even from Bedell. Bedell is a great asset to talking about the back end, the office. One of the best resources I know. So if you guys ever have questions or you're struggling with that, maybe shoot him a DM. Go to debtfreelandscaper.com. He's got his free budget tool. Those are all things I utilized to help get my ducks in a row to understand this business that we're running and to keep track of things. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. Thank you so much for listening. Short and sweet. Hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day, beautiful rest of the weekend. And seriously, thank you so much for the support of the podcast. Couldn't do it without you guys. And we'll catch up with you on the next one.
Are you ready to make some serious money this winter with snow and ice management services? Are you looking to position yourself as an industry professional and to protect your bottom line from issues like unstable salt prices? Don't get left out in the cold this winter. Head over to debtfreelandscaper.com to check out the highly sought-after commercial and residential snow plowing contracts. These agreements are available for internet download and are easy to edit and make your own. Debtfreelandscaper.com, the green industry's most professional resource for lawn and landscaping contracts, hiring employees and subcontractors, and where you'll find the same money-making commercial snow contract that numerous contractors like Brian Fullerton have used to dominate the snow and ice management industry. Debtfreelandscaper.com. Head over to debtfreelandscaper.com to get access to these incredible resources today and put yourself in a position to plow through the competition.
Are you ready for GIE Plus Expo?
What?
Yes, GIE Plus Expo is coming to you now. It's GIEExpo2go.com, your new online connection to hundreds of new products, industry resources, and solutions to help you grow your business. GIE Expo to Go is packed with your favorite exhibitors' latest innovations, demo videos, event links, and more. Plus, you can set up your own My2Go show planner to gain exclusive access to show specials and discounts. Test Jet is all free. So what are you waiting for? Go to GIEExpo2go.com and start exploring today.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.